What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast. We're talking about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as behind those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Times.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And welcome to Tuesday's episode. I don't know what the number is, but I never remember what the number is. Um, please go back to Monday's episode if you did not listen to it, where we talk about WhatsApp and the current breach that's affecting over 500 million people. And then obviously I want you to tune in throughout the week. So Wednesday's our discussion, and then Friday is everything else non-cyber related. So movies, books, TV shows, all that good stuff. Without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from the Hacker News, right? And this one is written by Ravi Lakshmanan. Back to
Hey.
Yeah, Ravi is back. But the title of this one is U.S. bans Chinese telecom equipment and surveillance cameras over national security risk, right? So the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, they actually formally announced they'll no longer authorize electronic equipment from Huawei. These different companies, Huawei, I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Huawei.
Huawei. Okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
Huawei.
Huawei, ZTE, Hytera, Hikvision, and Duhua.
I ain't got you on that one.
I hold on that one, yeah. And they deem them an unacceptable national security threat, right? So now those companies, all of those companies were previously included in what we call the covered list, right? And that was as of March 12th. The last updated one, I believe, was March 12th of 2021. But they're no longer going to be put into those. And like this right here, so like this doesn't really surprise me because having working with DOD, we would have something that was called a TAA compliant list, right? So the Trade Agreements Act, I believe, is what it was. And what it said was that you couldn't have certain pieces of equipment or IT that were manufactured in certain countries, right? China, India, I believe Indonesia was on there. We couldn't have anything from them. So to see this, I'm kind of like, all right, well, this is something I was already kind of used to, right? But they're kind of putting this out there for everybody now. Like, hey, look, this is not going to be allowed in your home, right? Like we're a little worried about what China may be doing out there with all these different companies. And like you got to be careful because this list is very fluid, because what'll happen is China will actually, or a Chinese company will actually they'll acquire another company that may have been on the list and may have been good, right? But then it ends up being one of those things where, okay, they got to be taken off the list now, right? So you gotta stay up on this, and you gotta like pay attention what's going on out there, right? So but yeah, they're doing this, and they're banning that equipment. They don't want any of the stuff in any of the sensitive government sites, you know what I mean? Because you don't know what China may be doing in the processing of all these things, or in the manufacturing of all these things, like what they may be putting in there that they may not be advertising, that may not be easily found, unless you get something and you take it apart and you say, okay, well, what is this chip here? Like that's not anywhere in the schematics type thing, right? So they're just trying to avoid that type of stuff. But yeah, this is one of the things where in this current climate, it's like what we got to kind of pay attention to, right? Because I know these companies have stuff that is all over the place. And here's the thing, they may not, like, you may have some equipment in your home that doesn't directly have these names like right there where you can readily see it, you know what I mean? Like it may be that ZTE manufactures webcams for Dell or something like that, you know what I mean? I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying that's the case, but you just have to be mindful. You have to pay more attention to what's going on with some of these things that may be coming into your home. But it's just something to think about. More security to look out for, right? We're all going to be cyber professionals by the time it's all said and done, right? This is how it goes. But Ryan, what you got on this, man?
Yeah, excuse me. It's pretty crazy to see. We're still battling with this, right? So like this thing started before this administration, right? So it's pretty bipartisan. Like companies like Huawei and a few others from China are always under scrutiny because we just obviously don't know what they may or may not be adding to the equipment, and as well as backdoors to some of the gear. So like my favorite TV brand, LCT, is a Chinese company. And I remember for a time they're under pressure and scrutiny from the federal government because they were like, hey, you need to patch this, you need to give us assurances on that you don't have back doors, that you're not monitoring US persons, things of that nature. So like for all we know, they could be thrown on the list as well. Um, and the list was counterintuitive, right? So I was confused because I thought covered it's again like bills and things like that that have opposite names and meanings. So the covered list, when I looked it up from the FCC, if you're put on the list, it's a bad thing. So like it is the section 1.50002 of the Commission's rules directs Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau to publish a list of communications equipment and services, parentheses covered lists, that are deemed to pose an unacceptable risk to the national security of the United States or the security and safety of United States persons. So if you put on the list, it's like a ban list. Like, so the cover list is a ban list, which it's counterintuitive. I thought cover list, man, we're good. You're covered. No, for whatever reason, the terminology means that if you're put on the list, then you are not allowed to be put in certain government buildings, government infrastructure, or now in U.S. persons' homes and things of that nature. So Huawei is on it, ZTE is on it, Hyteria is on it. I can't pronounce that one. I don't want to mess it up, but Hikvision, Dua, AO, China Mobile International USA, and a few others as of March of last year and March of this year. So I guess it gets updated every March or so. So just be on the lookout if you have this type of equipment in your homes. And it'd be kind of hard to, like, unless it actually says Huawei, right? It could, like Shannon said, be a subsidiary of said company. And that's also covered under the provision as well, right? So it covers all their subsidiaries. So if they do purchase a company to try to cover themselves to get into the States, that's also going to be put on the covered list. So it's to stop them from trying to outsmart us and to add that stuff. And that's not to say they are being nefarious, because I don't know, right? I don't have any intel or anything like that. But for the federal government to scrutinize them for year after year after year, because I remember when I was stationed here in Florida many moons ago, same thing. We were looking through our gear to make sure it wasn't from certain companies that were coming outside the States, primarily from China. So this has been the case for years and years and years. Same thing when it comes to TikTok, right? Like they keep bringing up TikTok's a danger to U.S. security. TikTok should not be allowed in the U.S. TikTok should be banned. Should be taken off the App Store. I'm not saying that. That's not what Ryan Williams is saying. That is what the federal government keeps saying to federal agencies keep saying to Congress, right? Like, hey, we need to ban this. We need to stop this. So I don't believe they're just saying it to say it, right? They're putting a lot of effort into it because it actually does pose a risk. So just be on the lookout. For the most part, I don't think this is going to affect many people's homes and households. At least not currently, because they are on the covered list, but you may have equipment from the past, right? And we talk about IoT devices all the time and how insecure they are. So just add this to your list of worries when it comes to your smart home or whatever else you're trying to do with your thermostat, your cameras and your doorbells and things of that nature. So but I would definitely say, if you are interested in any of this, definitely look it up. The article will be attached, or a link to the article will be attached to the podcast, because a lot of it was counterintuitive to me as well, and I've been doing this for a while. So definitely check it out and see if you have any equipment that's on the list that you may need to swap out for good old American. That costs 4 times as much. What? Do you have anything else?
No,
Yeah.
You may not want to look, because you'll be like, oh man, this has that in there, this has that in there,
Yeah.
this has that in there. But sometimes, like, you'll have so like when I was talking about the TAA compliance, like sometimes you have like a drop dead date too, right? So like if for whatever reason it was procured before this date, like it'll be fine, right? But you never know what they're doing after that, right? Like if they do some type of updates or something like that, there could be something that's pushing through that, you know what I mean, to make it nefarious. So
yeah, it would crush my heart if TCL. I always get the letters mixed up. If they were added to, oh man, those are TVs. You get biggest, brightest TV. for like half the price. So I will crush my soul, but it is what it is. You gotta stay safe out there, right?
Yeah.
So definitely continue to tune into the podcast. Like I said, go back to Monday's episode, and then tomorrow's episode will be our discussion about passwordless security, and then Friday we talk about everything else. So look out for no spoilers, but I saw Wakanda Forever, Andor's finale, all that good stuff. So Black Friday deals, talk about it all. So definitely continue to tune in. Hit us up on all of our socials, and then you can hit me up personally. I'm at Rai Security Guy. I'm on LinkedIn and Clubhouse. So stay safe, stay secure.